Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 236 of Kouryer podcast. And yes, this is the second podcast I'm recording on 9th of June of 2023. Yes, the last episode was recorded like 4 hours before this. So yeah, the same t-shirt could explain that. And well, our today's guest is Miss Luhan Wang. She's a Visdev-Concept artist from Montreal, Canada. And of course, before we get into the questions, which I started the podcast with, let me quickly mention that in the for contact section of the captions, you can find the ID to her Instagram account, the links to her website, art station, and also Linktree, which kind of sounds really meta. But yeah, basically you can find all her links in there as well. You know the drill. And something we're going to talk about as well, which is a conquering perspective in environment design course, which if you see any of the works above us and you like to draw any of this, you should probably buy that. Yeah, you heard that, right? And we're going to talk about it in the podcast as well, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. And if you're listening on audio, so yeah, you know where to find the resources for each episode on Instagram or on YouTube. You can you can even check the links on Spotify or Castbox. If you're listening, you can check the links easily like that. And with that out of the way, how are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, and I just realized that behind you is not a pillow or a rock. That's actually a cat sleeping here. Is that correct?
Yes, my little fluff ball, Dambo. It's a she. I know the name sounds a bit masculine, but when I was picking a cat, I was like, no matter which gender it is, it needs to be Dambo because I love. It's from this manga called Yotsuba that I read as a kid, and anyways, yes, Dambo.
Well, Dambo is sleeping sound and safe, all right?
Yeah, we're going to hope he won't wake up in the middle and, try to claw my webcam away.
Yeah, actually, the Ivan Salazar, I think was his name. Oh my God, why did I forget
yes,
that
Ivan.
name? Yeah, his episode
Ivan.
was, he had like, I think a French bulldog,
Yes.
like cute French bulldog, and he kept, or she, I don't remember, interrupting. Like, that's actually a common, tradition of the podcast where pets always make an appearance, but now.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a cameo background appearance, because she's asleep, all right? All right, so let me start off by the first question, which is kind of like the main signature question of the podcast. Give us a little introduction on how we got into the world of visual arts and design. Basically, tell us your origin story of, how you became an artist, just how did it all happen?
Well, oh my God, it's a really long story, so I'm going to try to keep it short. But basically, I used to be a science kid. I always thought I would become like a biochemist when I was growing up, and I really love math. I really love physics. So yeah, that was kind of like the path I wanted to go towards. And in Quebec, we have something called CEGEP, which is like this 2-year education thing that's between high school and university, which allows the students to kind of like test out different programs, see what they want to do, see what they like and don't like. And for me, I was in a science program at first, and in the middle of all my classes and everything, I suddenly one day realized that, you know what? It's not that I don't like this, but I cannot see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So kind of in the middle of my studies, just decided to switch programs, went into something called creative arts, dabbled in like TV production, dabbled in animation, a bunch of different medias. And from there, I was like, well, growing up, I really liked watching Disney. I really liked watching Ghibli movies. And also, had a bunch of, I did a bunch of sketching as a kid. So, you know what, maybe I should try to become some sort of artist. So, yep. From that, I was like, all right, gonna become an artist, gonna go into the animation industry. So just continued, taking art classes, like trying to just get better at that. And the university I went to at first was Kouryer University. It's like a university in Montreal, and they have an animation program that's kind of like known in this city. So I went into that. It's a film animation program, and kind of realized after a year that it's really fun. We're really trying different types of animation. There's like sand animation, acrylic on glass, this and that. It's super fun, but it felt a bit more experimental and a bit more fine artsy in a way. And people coming out of a program would become more of like an independent filmmaker, or they would apply to festivals and all that. For me, I kind of wanted to stay more on the commercial road. So I did my research and found that there was this college in Toronto called Sheridan College, and they're known for their animation degree. So, I took a year off from university, and during that year, I worked on my portfolio, took some extra classes because I'm really realizing that I'm actually still lacking a lot in terms of my fundamentals and everything. So did a lot of live drawings, did a lot of classes, worked on my portfolio, and after a year, got into Sheridan, and yeah, I studied 4 years over there. And during those 4 years, well, at first I thought I was going to become an animator, but I slowly started realizing that actually it's a bit tedious for me, and I actually really like drawing backgrounds instead in our layout classes. And also during those 4 years, I had the chance to do some freelance works for Nickelodeon, and also for the studio in Toronto called Yowza, and it was always a more background related position. So yeah, just kind of decided that this would be what I'm going to do more specifically, just like background designs, environment designs. And when I was about to graduate in my 4th year, I actually got an offer from Eidos Montreal, which is the company I'm working at right now. They're a video game company. Offered me a job as a concept artist, and I was like, well, it's not the animation industry anymore, but I love gaming. It's still an art job, and also I really love that studio since I was a kid because they made games like Tomb Raider, and I grew up just playing them. So anyways, long story short, that's how I ended up as a concept artist today.
Wow, that's an interesting lore, actually. Wow. And speaking of Tomb Raiders, did you play the first trilogy of Tomb Raider, those old games?
Okay, not like the old ones where Lara Croft still had her cone boobs and everything, but the first one from like the quote unquote remake that came out in 2013, I believe. I think it was 2013.
Yeah, the one where there's levels, you're in Aztec jungle areas, there's little dinosaurs, there's also underwater level where there's like a huge octopus, you need to solve a puzzle like that.
I think so. I think that's what you're describing. Yeah. It's been a long time since I played it.
Yeah, there were a couple of franchises like since I was a kid that I really loved, and those, like, I don't think there any game developer is AAA game developer, might I add, does have the courage to make games like that anymore for this generation, because like those games like Prince of Persia, Splinter Cell, Tomb Raider, you need to actually solve problems in your head. They were hard, they were challenging, But now, like, if it's not easy and it doesn't have microtransactions, you're not, the AAA games, they're not going to pass the bill, But speaking of Eidos Montreal, one game that extremely impressed me as a single player experience in the recent years was Guardians of Galaxy 2021 game. I'll happily give them free promotion. I know my podcast doesn't get any views, but even if it did, I would. But that game was like in my top 10 single player experiences I've ever had. That's like a bold statement, but it's true. Like the story mode is around 18, 19 hours, but it was perfect. Right down to the last detail. You know that meme, that Homelander meme?
Yes.
Yeah, but it was, honestly, like, I absolutely loved it. As even like a Guardians of Galaxy fan, like out of all the Marvel things, my favorite thing is Guardians of Galaxy. So for me, playing that game, actually the fun thing was I played it after watching the third Guardians of Galaxy movie. Have you watched that?
No, actually, I'm not a big Marvel fan. I did watch a couple of them, but not all of them.
Guardians of Galaxy are exceptions. You could even just imagine they're not Marvel, but go watch them, honestly.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Especially the trilogy, like watch the trilogy, then go play the game. Like, if you, like, as a form of entertainment, if you regretted it, I would gladly pay the amount of money you paid for those back to you. Like, to you, as like, to anyone who's listening, I'm not talking to you, I'm just talking to the guests, so don't get all wild up and say, hey, give me the money. But that's how I confidently would say that, honestly. And my standards are really high, and it's really hard for me to grade anything like as good, but they were good, especially the game. The game was really good.
I'm so glad. Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing was, because I don't know if you know, but the last Marvel game they did before the Guardians of the Galaxy was a huge disaster. Yes, that would even be completing my sentence. You knew which one was it.
Yeah.
But they completely outdid themselves, and they kind of, made all the mistakes they made on that game, and kind of, compensated on the other game.
Right.
And yeah, I couldn't say more good things about the game. The writing is like, I'm just gonna say this. It's a really fun experience in every way imaginable. It's like reading a really good book and watching a really good movie at the same time, but in a video game form, which is really awesome. Like it's a labor of love. Like they put so much work and love into the game that it's so kind of, it makes you scratch your head a bit, because especially me that I'm trying to become an art, like an environment artist, I appreciate even more because there were areas that I'm sure 95% of players don't even go to check, but they still made it with full details.
Yeah.
And even the one thing that really made me jump from my seat to the roof when I found out it was in the game was a photo mode in the game, which had a lot of features. And as someone who always takes screenshots while watching movies or playing video games for reference or composition and everything, that was like chef's kiss,
Nice.
Like,
I'm so glad. Like,
so,
I
yeah, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say I didn't work on it, but I'm currently working on a project with a couple of people who actually worked on Guardians of the Galaxy, and sometimes it's like realizing that, whoa, I'm working with these people. Like how is this even possible? How is this even true? But yeah, I'll go tell them when I see them at work. I think they'll really like hearing that what you said.
Yeah, and the thing is, I actually had Rob Brunel a couple of episodes ago. He worked on the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and a bunch of other Marvel movies. And by the way, I talked about this game a lot to him as well in that episode as well. Yeah, because the things I love about, I'm not gonna shut up about it, honestly. Like, right. And actually, that sounds like a dream for me if I could one day work on a project like that. I mean, come on, that's got to be so. And imagine getting paid for that. Like, that's what I'm getting up every morning and trying to become an environmental artist.
Right.
That's one of my main motivations. And oh god, just for anyone who's listening, and you just go buy the game, all right?
Yes, buy it.
All right, pay money, consume. Just get in this like huge cog machine of capitalism. Buy the product. Yes. I'm trying to hypnotize people with the thing like
exactly.
You want to play Guardians of Galaxy?
You do.
Yeah, and just one last thing before it. I'm not sure, like there are DLC things. Well, of course, normally there's expansion packs of DLC in most games as long as we could remember. But the skins are actually unlockable through exploration and playing the game. You don't have to pay for it, which is such a mind-blowing thing in this day and age, which is kind of sad for me to say that it has to be like this. But still.
Yeah.
But still.
Well, I'm glad you had an amazing experience with it. That's what every game dev want to hear when they make a game. So, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Joe. So you kind of already mentioned a bit about how your journey has been, when you're starting out. But were you originally studying art and design, or you were pursuing another career path? Like initially, of course, you said you wanted to do art, but was there ever any period or phase where I don't know, maybe from family or school or something, they were like, no, you should do something else. Art is a hobby. Go become a doctor and have art as a hobby. That type of thing. Was that like this for you?
No, actually, I was really lucky growing up. My parents, well, stereotypically people would expect Asian parents to be like, oh my god, like how could you decide to go into art? Like, you have good grades, just stay in science, become a doctor, become anything that's in the science field or something. But my parents are actually super supportive with my choice. That day when I just randomly told them, okay, you know what, I don't really feel like doing science anymore. I want to go into the creative arts program and at school. They're like, okay, like just do your research, just make sure that you know what you're doing afterwards, just make sure that you can actually sustain yourself afterwards, and go with it. And my dad actually, when I think about it, he was the one who kind of introduced me to how to animate, even though he's not an animator, he's an IT guy. But when I was very, very much younger, he's the one who kind of introduced me to Adobe. Is it Flash? Is it Adobe Flash? It's called Adobe Animate these days.
I think now it's Adobe Animate. Yeah, I think Flash died like a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think Flash. I'm not sure, but I think that was the main platform that a lot of those old school Flash games were made on. I think.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
But yeah, so he was one who introduced me to Flash and actually started like doing little animations on it. And I mean, I didn't know anything about like keyframing, like follow through, secondary actions. I had no idea what those things were. I just kind of drew a bunch of drawings and it kind of made sense together. So yeah, so in a way, my dad introduced me to this whole concept of animation and media, and my mom was so supportive too when I made the switch. And she was actually the one who, in the end, pushed me to go to Sheridan. Because at first I was like, oh, well, maybe I can look at other programs, other schools in Montreal, because I wasn't super satisfied at Concordia University. I was like, oh, maybe there's other programs or schools. My mom was like, just aim for the top, like aim for the best. Sheridan College is known for being really, really good at animation. Then, like it's further away in Toronto. It's, you're going to be by yourself and all that stuff. There's a lot of things that are going to come with it, but just, just try, go for it and go to the best. You can do the best you can do. So I was like, I listened to her and so my parents really, they really supported me and got me to where I am today.
No, that's really awesome, honestly.
Yeah.
And actually, I've heard Sheridan College is one of the best animation colleges in the world, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Woo, Sheridan.
Yeah. And by the way, have you I'm just wondering, for anyone, like a huge chunk of my audience are Iranian as well. So it's kind of, I think, would be interesting. Like how much Iranians were your classmates during the college, because in the past recent years, there's been a huge wave of Iranian immigrants everywhere, especially Canada and Toronto. So have you met anyone, encountered any Iranians, or am I your first Iranian you ever encountering? I don't know.
Oh, no. You're definitely not the first Iranian I've met so far. I think at school, there probably were. I wasn't like that. I wasn't super like always at the labs or anything. So I outside of my classmates, I didn't see that many people, but I'm pretty sure I've seen them in passing.
Actually, now that I remember, I'm sorry. I think one of my friends is also a professor at Sheridan's.
Oh, really?
Do you know Vahid Bahmani?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, wait. I think he teaches somewhere else, but he's also a college professor in, he teaches as an instructor in like some colleges in Toronto as well. He actually was on a podcast, I think, around last year. He's also a professional senior concept artist as well.
Cool.
And that was interesting to know. And all right, so in the introduction, I mentioned that you're like an illustrator and, Visdev and concept artist. I didn't say illustrator, by the way, I'm sorry. Like Visdev and concept artist, but with that being said, but how would you describe your main branch of design? What are you focusing on mostly? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now,
Yeah, so my focus right now is like environments, like sensor environment design, and with that, like anything kind of prop design related to like vehicles, weapons, and all that. I kind of include that in the things I do. I think at the very, very first, when I was at Sheridan, I thought my focus would be layout design, which is kind of like, it's like backgrounds, but for TV shows. It's like all the different like backgrounds you see per shots and scenes. And actually, my first job, I landed it when I was during the summer of my first year at Sheridan. I worked at Yowza Animation in Toronto. Worked on this show for Netflix called Green Eggs and Ham Season 2. And I did a bunch of layouts and everything. And I kind of realized that it's not that I don't enjoy layout per se, but it's a bit more restrictive in a way where you kind of have to follow the storyboards. You kind of have to follow the background designs that are given to you. So you're just kind of, like putting the characters or like drawing these backgrounds based on all these things and then putting the characters in there. And I kind of wanted to do something that's a bit more creative. So that's why I went from layout to something that's more background design. Yeah. And from that, like environment and everything came with that.
All right. Awesome. Now, here's like an interesting question for me to ask you, which is I've been waiting for that, which is how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a piece or a project? I'm asking this based on the stuff you posted on your ArtStation and Instagram as well, those type of environments. I mean, the breakdowns I've seen on ArtStation is just the final version and also like the line sketch of it,
Yeah.
So I could kind of deduce, what type of what is the structure for your pipeline look like? But I would like to hear it from you, how does it usually go,
Yeah, so it's actually like, it's pretty much like 3 steps almost. So like, first step, it's the reference gathering, like all the research. And most of the time it's like just like on Google, just like looking up, for example, I want to do something that's a more of a Japanese inspired environment. Then I'll look up like, every picture that's related to it, or yeah, mostly pictures usually. I try to not look for like artworks, because like just in case I accidentally, take too much from certain artworks and stuff. Like try to focus on taking pictures and stuff. And after the reference gathering and the research part, I start on the line art. I'm not really the type to do many sketches and a bunch of variations before like doing the clean stuff. Like if it's for work, then yeah, of course, I'll go through the variations and sketches and propose them to my art director. But if it's just my own work, sometimes it's kind of like almost out of laziness, but I'll just jump straight into it. So yeah, after research, I just do the line work that you see, like the clean black and white line work. And then after that, I do the black and white line work to kind of like just to make sure that I have the right composition, I have the right perspective, I have the right like volume and structure for every single object that's in the scene. And then from that, yeah, I just do the color on it. Yeah.
All right, awesome. And that's like, here's the thing. What were your main inspiration when it came to this type of style of environments? You kind of mentioned before we got on the call, is like you kind of want to use your art as a vessel to kind of represent like Asian cultures and elements in your art. Yeah. But aside from that, like I'm really curious because like you have like a really solid well thought out style of work. So I'm kind of wondering I don't think that's that's your main thing that's driving you. That's one of the main things, but I'm interested, what are the other main things that inspired you to, get into this type of environments, because I believe that in art, whether you want it or not, I think art is a form of psychoanalysis data, honestly.
Yeah.
And someone's expression of art, says a lot of things about themselves, the philosophies they want to convey. So I'm wondering, like, if you want to, sit down right now and think about it deeply, what are some of the feelings and energies you want to kind of convey or kind of store and save with your pieces, this type of environments you're working on?
Oh, that's a hard question. So before I talk about colors, I'll talk about the actual line art part, because colors actually came in a way like much later into my process. At first I was more of a like black and white line art person. I kind of almost refused to color because I'm not really great at it, and I'll just stick to my lines. So at first I think the late Kim Jong-gi, he was one of the first Instagram artists I saw artists I saw on Instagram, and I really loved how crowded a lot of his artworks were, and also like the play with perspective, the play with perspective, the busyness and the details. And he kind of inspired me to kind of like try to also do that in my own work. So starting off with the black and white stuff is always kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to try to convey. It's not even just like having details and having a bunch of lines. It's also conveying that sense of busyness, of crowdedness, almost maybe even like the hotness of the air and all that. It's like trying to get that just through like the details, just through the lines. So for a very long time, that's kind of like, what I was trying to achieve. And that's kind of like also, like the inspiration in a way of to my drawings. And I also try to kind of think of like themes or stories, not full on stories with like a beginning, middle, end, but more of a concept almost. So for example, one of the first like series I did was inspired from this area in Hong Kong called Kowloon. And it's like a bunch of huge like apartment building, a huge apartment complex with a bunch of apartments together.
Wait, is that like the city that was closed down?
Yes.
It has its own, like, it was like a living organism.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's so cool.
It's a super cool place. The pictures that you can find of that place are amazing. So I kind of took that as a reference. I was like, I want to create something similar where, you're just like a big complex, or it's like self-sustaining. Everyone's just like packed in there. So my first series of like black and white drawings was just like trying to kind of have different rooms or different areas in this apartment complex where people are kind of just doing their own things. And the main emotion feeling I want to convey was that feeling of like hotness, of like just being all like bundled up together. And so anyways, we're starting to ramble on, but basically that's what it is.
That's the whole point of the podcast, by the way.
Good. So yeah, that's kind of what it is with the black and white stuff. And that's also kind of how I thought at first I wanted to become I thought I would become a layout artist, because layout, it's basically just line work. But after doing that job and realizing that maybe I kind of want to try more of something like background designs, like Visdev, something more designy. That's when I realized I do need to learn how to color. Like I need to get better at colors. So, starting from year to Sheridan, I started actually coloring all my backgrounds. But I think the core of everything was still trying to maintain, or still wanting to have that goal of like conveying a certain emotion, maybe not a story per se or anything, but just having some sort of emotion in every single one of my scenes. Through colors, through details, through lighting, like whatever element I'm using it, I just wanted to have a certain emotion attached to it. So, yeah, and I think a lot of my drawings are actually really, not the style or the coloring style per se, but in a way it's kind of inspired by Studio Ghibli. That sense of like nostalgia, that sense of like you can almost, I don't know, you can almost like smell whatever's in the room, that sense of like you can almost touch whatever you're seeing. That's what I always liked about Ghibli movies, and I kind of wanted to bring that into my drawings to the colored ones, where yeah, it's like you feel nostalgic looking at it, or you can smell all the books that are in this room. I don't know if I'm really achieving it that well, but it's really what I try to always maintain throughout my drawings.
Yeah, I think the thing you're trying to point out the most is immersion. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting topic that I've been recently, especially I've been really thinking about and just analyzing it in different medias, how a game or media or movie becomes immersive and what makes a game immersive, not just game, just any medium immersive rather versus something that doesn't become immersive,
Yeah.
And like, actually, I talked about this with Ivan as well on his episode as well, a lot about immersion when we talked about a lot of the different mediums we both enjoyed because they were immersive.
Yeah.
And if you look at every single successful piece of cinema or book, or like basically what I'm trying to say is just immersion factor that's been so high, the reason of their success and enjoyability. And right now, most AAA games don't really take that risk anymore. But you see you see immersion more in indie games,
Right.
because indie games are usually gambles by developers and gambles. And you know how competitive it right now is at this point of time, and it's only going to get more competitive. So people don't really make the game with the same attitude of AAA industry to formulate and engineer a successful game. They do make things from their heart.
Right.
And usually when something is from heart, it's going to be like the most immersive, insane thing in that area, in that field of discipline. And I think that's one of the reasons that, indie games kick the butt out of the AAA games these days sometimes. A lot of times, actually, not sometimes. And this is a really large topic, and by no any means or just, I don't claim to be an expert at it, but this is something that I personally, in my anecdotal experiences, have kind of noticed,
Right.
And if people, try to open your eyes next time you play any games or just consume any form of media, consume any form of a storytelling medium. That's like, I think, a good way to say that in a sense. I think you can kind of tell what I mean. The sounds, the visuals, the cuts, the camera work, the textures, it all just mesh together. And the thing is, you probably think, oh, there's going to be a scary movie. So, your brain goes to cliche, or you think of a sci-fi movie, your brain goes towards a cliche. But a lot of these successful things are not really like that. They're even kind of against the norm of their genre.
Right.
But the creator of them knows how to complement each piece together to make something unique and nice.
Yeah.
Some of these experiences I could name on top of my head, like they're really random. I'm going to mention some animations and movies and games and books and just all around. Like, and by in no particular order, by the way, like Fallout New Vegas is one of them. One of the most immersive games, like my favorite game of all time, actually, I've ever played since I was 12.
Right.
Disco Elysium, another amazing game. Wall-E, amazing animation. I love my favorite animation of all time. Puss in Boots 2, the recent Puss in Boots that came out, amazing animation. By the way, these are all subjective. As I said, I'm not an expert, but next I'm going to ask, Luhan as well, so don't worry. And Guardians of the Galaxy game. The Fear and Hunger games that I recently found, they're amazing, like gem of indie horror games and universe that I've been obsessed with, the past month, but because I've consumed everything about them, I'm waiting for the next sequel, which is going to come out in a couple of years. So I moved into another hyperfixation. Like, of course, in animes, one of the, I guess, I don't know, I'm not a huge anime manga expert, but I've watched a few. But to me personally, like, Berserk is like a masterpiece. Like,
Right.
just, I don't know what to say. And let's see, what else is there on top of? I actually have a list of things that I like. I always have them in case I need inspiration. But yeah, these are on top of my mind. Now I want to ask you, what are some of the things you kind of got hyper fixated on and you got really immersed in?
Oh, I think the first one I can think of is The Last of Us. Like, oh my god, when that came out, at that point I didn't have a PS3, so all I could do was watch. I think the first walkthrough I watched was PewDiePie play it on YouTube, and I think it was the only reason why I even knew about The Last of Us back then was because of PewDiePie. Like, it was in my recommended, and he was like playing this game, and I was like, all right, I mean, it's PewDiePie, I'll watch him. And wow, just from episode 1 of his walkthrough, but like the first part of the game, I was like, wow, this is, it's not even just like it's so pretty or immersive, like graphically, visually, just the story just got you, well, got me anyways, right from the start. And yeah, I mean, don't want to spoil anything, but at the same time, it came out a long time ago. But anyways, it's just, there's a lot of like story beats and things that happen in the game where I'm just like, oh, like it's so believable. It's not like cliche. It's so believable. I believe in these characters. I believe in these emotions they're feeling. Like there's like there's a part in the end of the game where you're playing as Ellie, and you kind of have to like run away from this like quote unquote bad guy, and because you're playing as Ellie and not Joel, like you're you don't have the same strength. You're faster maybe, but you don't have the same strength and all that stuff. So you can feel you as a player, you suddenly feel so restrained and helpless, and you can feel that you feel her fear. You feel like afraid of the man that's like, like just walking around the room trying to get to you. And wow, there are so many moments like this in the game where when I finished watching that walkthrough, I'm like, whoa, this is such a good game that I need to watch it again. Like, I need to watch another walkthrough again, but from another YouTuber. Like, I just need to keep like watching this game. And at some point I got a PS3 finally, like when the PS4 came out. So, and I finally played the game myself on the PS3, and yeah, that was like another experience again. Like, I think I watched the game maybe 2-3 times, and I played the game twice. So it was just that one game that just marked me, and I just kept going back to it. And it's still one of the biggest reference I use when I talk about, like good storytelling and immersion.
What else?
Yeah. What else? Let's see. It's such a hard question. I feel like there's so many, but it's hard to like. Let's see. Okay, well, in the animation world, The Lion King as a kid was like my absolute favorite Disney movie, and it's like kind of similar, not to The Last of Us, but the type of like ability to convey emotions where, for example, when spoilers, when Mufasa died and Simba was crying next to him, like as a kid, I was crying with Simba. I was bawling my eyes. I was like, oh my god, this is absolutely heartbreaking. Like, this is so sad. And I don't think there was that many movies as a kid that actually affected me that much. As like, a lion dying. I don't know. And then also in a similar vein, Grave of the Fireflies by Studio Ghibli. Wow, that movie also just made me cry my life away. That believability of that relationship between the brother and the sister, everything they had to go through, leading to that certain ending to that movie. I was like, oh my god, I believe in them. I believe in these characters. I believe in that relationship, and it just ended like this. And it's just so, yeah, it's like true emotions that I'm feeling, and it's just, I feel like these are really, it's really hard a lot of times to have a piece of media really affect you that much to the point where you're actually starting to question yourself or starting to like, yeah. So Grave of the Fireflies, another one. I'll leave it at these three for now. I think I have to really think about it.
All right.
Yeah.
And well, there's something interesting I actually want to talk about, before I forget, which was
Yes.
I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, which was your the illustration course that I mentioned, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
it was Conquering Perspective in Environment Design. So for anyone who's watching and listening, watching any of the works above us on YouTube and video version, you can tell the type of work we're talking about. So could you, give us a little bit of an insight on what it is, who is it for, and just, your experience making the course, how did it happen, just the whole story.
Yeah. So unexpectedly made a course because well, we talked about this before we started recording, but I don't really like being in the public that much. Like I kind of shy, and also, yeah, I just don't really like being in the public. So when Colosso, the company that the platform that's like hosting all these classes, reached out to me at first, I was kind of hesitant about it. I was like, I don't really want to record myself talking. I don't even like listening to my voice. Now I have to try to I have to teach a bunch of classes too, and it's going to be out there online. But I thought more about it, and I was like, well, maybe because maybe there are a couple of people out there who actually would love to kind of learn perspective or learn a bit about how I approach perspective, and maybe it will actually help them. So with that in mind, I agreed to make this course. It took me, I didn't plan it to take this long. I thought it would take me maybe a week to have everything recorded. And at first I really wanted to record it without any sort of like cuts or anything, just kind of go through it in one shot, in one sitting. And then immediately realized that with Dambo behind, which kind of also relates to what we were talking about before, like, wow, it was impossible to record to record without being interrupted by a cat biting your wires, biting your mic, stepping on your keyboard to the point where your computer would just freeze. So gave up on that. But yeah, anyways, all that to say, it took me like 4 weeks to record everything, like sometimes after work, sometimes during the weekend. And it's like a series, I think it's 10 classes, just me trying to explain perspective in a more like casual what's the word, like dumber way, because like I think like perspective, a lot of time people get scared of it because it's a bit more mathematical. There's more quote unquote calculations involved, and you're like, okay, yeah, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective, but there's also 4, 5, 6 point perspective. Oh, and I see people like Kim Jung-gi like doing these like fish islands shots and like just like perspective in every angle possible, every direction possible. Like, how the heck do I do this? So my goal in my course was to really try to approach it in like an easier way, to the point where maybe you won't be a master perspective artist where you can like literally like draw everything super precisely with the exact right angle and everything, but to the point where you understand perspective enough to just render a scene and be able to convey a story, or just to kind of show what you want to show. Basically that's it. And hosted on the platform on by Colosso. It's like a Korean company who's kind of trying to be a bit more international these days. So they opened up English classes for international users. Yeah.
All right, sounds awesome. So if you're interested, the links are down in the description below. And I honestly think you're kind of making conspiracy theories against Dumbo because, I'm sorry, she. Because she's been absolutely like an angel and quiet this past 2 hours I've been talking. She hasn't made a
Right.
single voice. She hasn't got the zoomies. So I don't know what you're talking about even.
She's like that. I feel like she likes to act cute and also act all cute, like all innocent when there's people, when it's needed for her to be like that. The moment like the camera's gonna shut off, she's definitely gonna jump down and yeah, do her usual thing, the zoomies, biting everything possible. But yes,
All
for
right.
now, very nice.
Wait, is she the type of cat that can recognize words? So if you say some of her favorite words, she's going to, perk up and just stand up and listen.
I wish she was just smart. No, well, she recognizes her name. If we see Dembo in the house, she'll like turn her head towards you, and I'll try training her how to like play fetch and everything. Because I heard that ragdoll cats are actually able to like learn these little tricks. Dembo is a no. She's too stubborn. She's too much of a princess to want to do that.
Aw. Yeah, actually, one of my friends recently had a cat who actually she gave birth to 5 little kittens recently,
Aw,
but the cat is the smartest cat I've ever seen.
yeah,
Like, when she actually sits on your lap and looks at you, it's with an intention, it's a meaning. It's like, hey, I know you're here, hi, and like he
yeah.
throws his like hair clips to the other room, and she goes run and fetches it and comes back.
Okay, yeah. I wish that was a Dembo, but no.
Yeah, yeah,
So cool.
yeah. Cats actually is really interesting. I think most animals, not just cats, have really different personalities. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, because in my home we still have cats, by the way, for 15 years, like 14 years. Since I
Wow.
was 10, I
Yeah.
turned 16 years now. So for 16 years, we saved like 8 cats from 2 different litters.
Wow. Okay.
And we were by save cat. I don't mean we just found a bunch of kittens and picked them up. No, because of course their mom would be, but other
Right.
neighbors in the alley, wanted to throw away cats from their home and we just took
Yeah.
them. And from 8 of those, 2 survived. And out of these 2, they both were girls and they had a lot of babies. But only, I think, after 20, 25 generations, only one of them, their bloodline still lives on.
Oh.
And
Okay.
they're still alive, like their bloodline. Like, it's so interesting. Like,
Yeah.
after 16 years, like, there's so many cats. Like, oh, God. And all of them have different personalities. It's so interesting.
All right.
But mostly, if I want to generalize, most cats are 2 different categories. In males are really simple. Male cats are the 2 way. They're either aggressive or alpha as hell, and really tough and
Yeah.
intimidating,
Yeah.
or really goofy and dumb and funny and lovable. That's what male cats boil down to. But female cats are much more interesting. They're really smarter. They honestly are, and of course there's always exceptions, but in general, if I want to generalize, female cats are way more smart, honestly, than male cats,
Right.
and they're more cunning actually, and yeah, they're they're a lot more cuter sometimes, but in general, male cats are like that. Female cats are kind of smart and more understanding and can
Right.
recognize patterns a lot better, like like knowing names. But there were exceptions that there were also extreme exceptions. These were general, but extreme exceptions are a couple of kittens we had that were super friendly to everyone, like actual friendly. They would want to
Yeah.
hug you always. They would
Oh.
always
Okay.
stick to humans, but that's not a
Yeah.
good thing actually. If I don't know how Canada is against how people are against animals, but I pray for cats to actually not be like that. I mean, if they're friendly with their owner, that's fine. But if they're friendly with everyone, they usually get hurt and killed very soon,
Oh
unfortunately.
no. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
happened to all our friendly cats actually.
Yeah.
And the other side is we had one cat which is actually still alive. I think she's 7, 8 years old now. She's really fluffy and she's the meanest cat I've ever seen in my life. Like,
Right.
listen, you see palm of my hand from
Yeah.
here to here. When she was this size, like when she was barely born,
Yeah.
like she had 2 other brothers and sisters. Like they were in a cardboard box somewhere, right? And we always, when they were born, we picked them up, we cleaned their eyes and stuff like that. This time we couldn't clean any of them. Do you know why? Because they all would get into the cardboard box home, and the 2 other brothers and sisters would hide behind this little mean girl. And she would look like this, get tense up, and she would jump, and the whole thing would move. She
Okay.
would scratch the hell out of you,
Wow. Okay.
and
Okay.
she turns into a monster whenever she gives birth, because of course, mothers are really protective of their child, especially in nature.
Yeah.
And whenever she had kids, you couldn't go near the 8 meter radius of the home at all. She would come out, attack you, run you
Oh my
away, and she
God.
would get back. Yeah.
Okay.
But now she's a little bit older. She's more domesticated. She's nicer only to us, and to
Okay.
my mom. But
Right.
no, she. But actually, that's so funny to me. That was so cute. Imagine a little kitten like that that would be fearless and would actively
Yeah.
attack you, hunt you for blood. That
That's
is,
amazing.
yeah, like they're all over the spectrum. Their personalities.
Yeah, I think Dambo's on closer to that extreme. She's not that extreme yet, but she's in that direction.
She's antisocial, I guess.
She's my friends. It's like a love and hate relationship with her because she has like a couple of my friends who she's actually really nice to. She lets them kind of like pet her and all that. And I have like this one friend who's actually a big like animal lover. She loves cats, she loves dogs. And the first time she saw Dambo, she was like, "Oh my god, Dambo!" And then Dambo immediately ran away. I think maybe she was too loud or something. But from that day on, every time that friend comes to my place, Dambo was just like, "Nope, I know you're here. I don't want to be close to you. I don't want to like acknowledge your presence.
God.
Goodbye."
That is so weird. It's like Dambo picked your friend exclusively to ignore. That is so mean, actually. Oh my god.
I found it. I actually found it hilarious. It's like, oh, she chooses to be smart when she wants to, but then when there's time, and there's times when she chooses to be dumb, she will be very, very dumb and irresponsive.
Wait. Does your friend have cats or dogs or animals in her home?
No, she doesn't. She really wants to, but she's a nurse, so she's working like very irregular hours. So for her, having a pet, like it might not be like the
maybe
best thing.
no. I don't know. The only reason I could think of it's either Dambo is being an asshole on purpose, or your friend smells like something that she might
The smell. All right, yeah.
Yeah, it could be maybe like a medicine or another dogs or cats or because if your
Right.
cat, if you smell like another cat and you come near the Dumbo will give you like the bombastic side eye, And
I see. Okay, I'll go tell my friend today that she smells bad.
no, not a smell of something that, yeah.
I know.
By the way, have you ever given her catnip?
Yes, I mean, I think all of the toys we bought her are catnip infused toys. Yeah.
Wow.
But honestly, I don't feel like, or maybe she got so used to the smell, but I feel like it's not super, it doesn't,
You
what's
should
the
give
word?
her a higher dose.
Oh, I see. But yeah, no, like sometimes when we try to get her to, actually, that's another weird thing about her. Like we got her like 4 beds and a cat tree that also has like 10,000 beds on it. She doesn't sleep in any of those beds. She sleeps either on the floor, in the sink, or in a box. We're just like, okay. And like in the box, we have 2 boxes, one with like a nice towel in it, because we thought that she would like it more. And there's like one Amazon box that I was going to throw out. But then because she's sleeping in it now, I can't throw it out anymore. But that's like her choice out of everything in this place. It's the box. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, and then that was it for the catnip thing. We are trying to like spray catnip in all the beds, and nope, wasn't working. Not interested.
No, but actual catnip, like just try to like put it in like a little saucer pan and just put it somewhere, and she will, and just film the whole thing. Trust me. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say
Okay. All right. I'll try
because
that out.
we've given our cats catnip before, and it's so hilarious and funny. It's literally like how people get high on weed or
Right.
alcohol. They actually get drunk. It's so hilarious, honestly.
Okay.
They become kind. They move in weird little cute ways. It's so funny.
Okay.
And probably she's gonna be nice with your friend when
When she's high on catnip.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
All right. So actually, the next thing I want to discuss and talk with you and want to know your opinion on it is like this whole idea and notion that, especially with the upcoming generation of young artists that are going to follow these career paths.
Yeah.
One of the main messages that is really hard for people to really embrace is the idea of not giving up while you're trying to pursue your artistic endeavors and journey, because the whole the world in some senses are not really going in a utopian direction, let's just say that. And what kind of things you would have to say for the next generation of artists you would want to say to them, for them to, what things, what concept you want them to understand, or what, and also not just that, what is your honest, unbiased opinion on this whole situation? By the way, I'm not necessarily just talking about AI. I'm just, because AI aside, even, you always get this news that a lot of huge companies are having huge layoffs. There's even experienced
Yeah.
people who get on Twitter and say, hey, this is my portfolio. If anyone has a job, please let me know, which as an upcoming junior is kind of like disheartening, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
But
totally.
in that situation, what do you have to say?
Okay, so before I touch on I guess the whole AI part, just like in general, I think it's gonna be the most cliche message ever, but just like, please don't stop. Like, please don't give up. I think it's in this day and age with social media and everything, it's like, it's so easy for people to see really pretty artworks out there and works that are just like better than yours, and you're like, okay, well, I can't achieve this quality, I can't achieve this level of art, so why would I even bother, why would I try? And for me, I think really, like, don't give up because of these things, because when I just started, when I switched programs, I sketched a bit when I was younger, but I was never like I never had any art classes back then. I didn't know what like anatomy was or any of these things, and I was like at that point already in the middle of like CJEP slash, I guess, college almost, and I didn't really know how to draw, so I had to like start from scratch, start from zero. And of course I had all these outside, like, Instagram or ArtStation, seeing all these like good artworks out. And of course there's so many times where I was like, okay, I don't think I can achieve this, like maybe I should just go back into science. But you just gotta like, I don't know, like, just put your head down, just focus on your own work, just focus on I'm pretty sure everyone can see their own weaknesses somehow, like some of their own weaknesses, so just like work on them. It might be the most tedious thing ever, it might not be the most fun thing ever to do, but like, you just gotta like, just focus, continue working on these points that you're lacking, focus on just drawing and continuing and improving. Like, a little example I have, which I find such a shame, is that we have this family friend whose daughter, much younger, I think she's like in the middle of high school right now, and she's thinking of, for college, of going into like art, like, or animation. And I've talked to her before. I told her about my experience and everything, and she was really pumped. She really wanted to do it, but then after a few months, she kind of got too discouraged because of, again, of all the outside out there, and also hearing from also just like other family friends saying like, oh yeah, Luhan, like she was like I don't know, like, she was so good at school, she put so much effort, she's so hardworking, so yeah, all this, all that, so you also have to be like this. And her hearing these words also in a way discouraged her, because like, she's like, oh well, maybe I'm not that hardworking, I'm not that passionate about art, so I can't do this. And she just gave up. She never continued that path, and she didn't apply to Sheridan, for example. And I find that such a shame, because she could have, like, I'm just one example out of all the people out there, and all these artworks you see online is just like a few of the artworks. It's not everyone who is like at that level either. Like, you just gotta focus on yourself and just go for it. And at the end of the day, the best way to improve and to get better at art and become a better artist is just to continue drawing, like, just continue drawing, like, work on your craft. And with the whole AI thing, I think, for example, as a concept artist, one of the biggest asset you have as a concept artist is to be versatile, like versatile in your style, being able to change from style to style depending on the game. You have to, like, be versatile in terms of like how you make your artwork. So for example, you have the more traditional, just like drawing everything from scratch, or you have the more photo bashing pictures, photo bashing 3D, like there's different tools you can use. So you have to be versatile in that too. So my view on AI these days is that, like, as much as it's a bit unfortunate, well, it's a bit unfortunate that it's here, and also it's very unfortunate that a lot of people are getting laid off and not losing a lot of job opportunities because of it. But at this point, like, it exists. We can't just magically erase it, like Thanos snap it away from our planet. So again, we gotta try to be versatile, and it's not just for present artists, but also the juniors, people who are coming into the industry. It's got to be versatile, play with the AI, learn about it, see what it's about. And there are ways to use the AI to actually help your workflow and help you. You can maybe, for example, see AI as like almost like a Google. You're just looking up, it's just reference. You look up, oh, I need some, I don't know, like a fairy with on a ferry on a unicorn, let's say, I don't know. And instead of just typing down on Google, then you can type it on in the AI and it's going to give you a bunch of picture references. So it's kind of like a more refined search bar. Other ways of using it, I've seen artists like just using AI to generate textures of rocks, of trees, of mountains, whatnot. And they use that as the photos that they're going to use as, they use that as the photos to photo bash into their concept. So yeah, again, it exists, but we can't just give up because of its existence. Just gotta, be versatile, learn about it, use that as a tool to improve yourself, improve your workflow. Yeah, I think that's a long message, but I think that's basically it. Just don't give up, please. I think a lot of people will give up because of these things from the outside. Just you can do it, honestly. Just gotta continue drawing, keep learning.
Yeah, get good, honestly. That sounds
Yes.
a little bit harsh, but yeah, even I say this to myself as well. Like I try to keep reminding myself to not have this like attitude of like, oh, I'm afraid that's about to be hunted. Have the mindset of a hunter. Like actually, like, all right, this thing's happening. Like, listen, no AI can come up with original ideas. It can mix up original like existing ideas. So try to really work on yourself and try to find that really unique thing about your personality and if your experience on this earth, and see how can you express it through visual art form. And that is going to be what's going to separate you from the rest of the flock. And you might, for example, take a step back and say, well, Rumpkin, if you say this, then everyone's hear it, then everyone's going to do that. Yes. And everyone's going to have like entirely different art styles. And there's abundance of opportunities for literally every single artist that's alive right now. Like, I know that sounds a bit weird, but it's true.
Yeah.
But the thing is, theoretically that will never happen because at least 9% of people don't even think like that. They give up or try to go for the safest options.
Mm-hmm.
But have the courage to live another day and just not be in this mentality. Like actually, you got this one life and you're just going to want to be just a normal paying art job so you could get retired and, do whatever one says.
Right.
Like, come on, like honestly. And of course, a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and that's 100% fine. Of course, like maybe some people are even happy with that type of life. It's not that bad. Like on the surface, sure, it looks bad, but I don't know a lot of life of a lot of people. Maybe that's actually the best option for them. Power to them.
Yeah.
Maybe it's gonna be like that moment. That meme where it goes the credits roll. That from the show.
Yeah. Sure. No, I don't think I know it.
I think it's from Seinfeld. Like all right, for anyone who's listening, probably no. It's kind of funny. Like in 5-6 years, I say all this stuff, then I know I have to sell for like a really medium, low paying job, and I wouldn't dare to go past that. I don't know. Maybe that happens, but at least. All right, another way I could say this is to you only got this one opportunity to express yourself.
Yeah.
Try to balance that out with the other aspects of finding a job. Because it's a shame to do a lot of things and get paid in it, and you wouldn't be proud of them. In the end.
Yeah.
Because you see that face on a lot of developers and artists in general when they work on a product and where it gets canceled or it doesn't get canceled and. When they say, "Oh, I worked on this," they don't have that face of passion and just spark in their face, in their eye.
Yeah.
And that's a shame if it's just that. I hope for anyone who's listening, kind of understood what I'm trying to say and drill into your heads. But yeah, I think that's an interesting topic. I would love to hear your opinions in the comment section anywhere, or you can just send it to me. I would actually be really interested to know what other people think.
Yeah.
And. All right, let's actually change the subject and move into another thing. Have you ever used any aspects of your dreams and incorporated it in any of your works?
My dreams, I don't think so. It's actually funny you say that because my friends who know this, but I actually like have very, very vivid dreams, like all the time. And like this running joke we have is like sometimes when I dream about like a very specific person and something happens to that person in my dream, like that person should be scared because it's probably going to happen to them in real life, because it's actually happened a few times. I'm not like a very superstitious person.
Could you repeat that again, please? I'm sorry. Did I hear that right?
Yes, I am a psychic. No, I'm joking.
No, wait. I actually couldn't. Could you repeat what you said? Your statement.
Oh, yep.
A lot of things that happen in your dreams, then you saw the exact scenario in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
What? All right, go on. I'm listening.
So, well, I mean, again, I'm not a psychic, and it's probably just coincidence. But there are a few times in my life, like for example, when I was in CJEP, I had this like psychology class, and that the day before the first class, I had a dream of this like blonde woman who's pregnant, just kind of walking in a room. And the day after, I go in class. It's my first class ever. Guess what? The teacher is a blonde woman who's pregnant who walks into the room, and I'm like, oh man, like what? And another example, first year Sheridan, we had like this big sleepover at a friend's. In one of my friend's basement, and another friend was supposed to join us like in a day or two, and I had a dream of her getting injured. I forgot how exactly, like it is too far away, but the next day she messages us in the group chat, and she's like, oh guys, I can't come, I just cut my heel with like the something, I think it was like at the end of a table or whatever, but yeah, she cut her heel, couldn't move anymore, couldn't walk anymore, couldn't come. And yeah, and my friend and I, because I told my other friend who's already like at the sleepover, I already told her that, and she was like, "Oh my god, a psychic!"
Did she recover, by the way?
She's fine. It wasn't too major. Yeah. But anyway, so because of these events, people are like, if you dreamt of me, do not tell me, and don't dream of me. Period. Don't dream of me. I think it's just like weird coincidences, but yeah, so I find the subject of dreams really funny because they always very vivid, and also apparently tell the future. But to answer your actual question, no, I don't use my dreams in my artwork. I rarely dream of I don't know, like environments or situations and whatnot. It's more of like people. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And right, that's interesting. There's a couple of things if I remember, I'll tell you later because I don't remember now.
Okay.
But what are some of your favorite artists? No, not one. Who are? Oh my god, my brain doesn't work at this point. Who are some of your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
Okay. So I'm gonna name some artists who are way older. At first, so because I'm a strong believer of like fundamentals and having very solid fundamentals before like doing anything else in your art, and that comes from me studying a lot of like older painters, like for example Monet. I know, cliche artists to name, but people like Monet or even Picasso, again, another cliche name, but I really do appreciate them because it's like painters who are, classically trained. They can, like draw your face very, very realistically if they wanted to, but they are able, through their strong fundamentals, to do paintings that are in a way less quote unquote realistic or less classical. That a lot of people back then, when those paintings were first created, were like, "Oh my god, that's not art! Like, what is this? What is this nonsense?" type of thing. So I think these painters really inspire me in a way, inspire me in that way. And another thing, and this applies more to Monet, that I really like, and I tell it a lot to people, is that I love how he. There was a purpose there's a purpose behind why he caused all this quote unquote revolution, why he started Impressionism. It wasn't just because like, oh, I'm against the Academy. Like I don't like it's not just because out of spite or just wanting to stand out or anything. It was more because it's like a real will to want to change art, to bring something new to art. Impressionism was all about the study of colors, not colors, the study of lighting and how lighting can change colors and all that. And this is why most of all the paintings actually were less realistic, more paint strokey, where you can see a bunch of small strokes here and there. And so I just really appreciate that energy, that want to revolutionize, to change things, to bring something new to the table, not just because you're bored or not just because you're against the government or whatnot, but because you love your craft and you believe there's space for improvement, so you're gonna help and contribute to improve. So anyway, so this, again, I always ramble, but yes, this is why I appreciate these Monet and Picasso, and then the more contemporary artists. Well, I mentioned him earlier, but the late Kim Jung-gi, one of my first introduction to like perspective and playing with perspective. So big thanks to him, and till this day, I think. A lot of time, like all my details and the way I do my black and white line art work came from him. And another dude, actually, Mark Crilly from he's a YouTuber, actually. He's one of the like earlier art YouTubers. I think he's the one who, I don't know, like introduced me to this whole world of just like drawing in general and just like using markers too. I think it was because I saw him using Copic markers or whichever marker that I suddenly was like, I want to try these markers and draw this and that. And so big thanks to him for introducing me to the art world, really, and also this whole YouTube art world, I think. Yes. And other artists, it's hard to think, but I think, yes, I'll give you these 4 people for now.
All right, awesome. And well, any advice and tips for a good portfolio and resume for artists?
Ooh, good. I think for portfolio, which is I think a rule that a lot of people give to, is try not to have too much in your portfolio. It's really not about the quantity. It's more about the quality of your artwork, because recruiters usually really don't have the time to look at everyone's application like through like super in detail and see every single thing that you put in your portfolio. It's really about like the first things they're going to see on that link you gave them. So yeah, just try to put your best work at the very top, and keep in mind that that's probably what the recruiter is that's the only thing the recruiter is gonna see. And then the resume part, in a way too, like keep it simple and short. Put in all the skills, put in all the work experiences or your education that you think that will actually be relevant to the job position you're applying to. So, for example, if it's like a concept artist position, something like art related, then putting your past experience as like, I don't know, maybe a waitress or a clerk or whatever. These aren't as relevant for this job as they would for other positions. So just try to make sure that you're only keeping the things that will help you for that job position. Yes.
All right. And what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of projects is it? I mean, of course, there's always a thing called NDAs involved. But if that's not the case, aside from that, is there any kind of information you can share with us on what you're doing right now?
What I'm doing right now, well, job wise, yeah, nothing I can really share. It's unannounced. It's like that. I'm also working on some freelance work for Nickelodeon. I've been working with them for like years. It's always fun to work on their projects. But again, it's unannounced, this one, so can't say much about it. Just it's very nice. I'm very excited about this one, about this project. So, apart from my freelance things, I still try to upload on Instagram. At least, like, it used to be once a week. Now it became like once a month because I kind of am busy and have other things to do. But I'm still trying to work on my own things, and I'm still trying to keep that notion of like just having like some sort of little story or concept and designing environments according to that concept. And if you guys are curious, you can have a look at my Instagram or my art station or my website. It's always the same artworks. It's everything is on these platforms.
All right. And well, what other now? All right, I'm gonna explain this question a bit.
Yeah.
But all right, let me say the question first, and I explain a bit and extend on that, because it's a lot of people like confuse this question a lot sometimes when they come to answering it.
Yeah.
What area beside the area you're working on right now, which is in the realms of like visual arts and just creativity and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Aside from that, what other stuff do you have going on in your life, or you want to have it in your life? Whether it be learning something new, or doing something, or going somewhere, anything that is, listen, completely non-art related. What do you have? Non-art related.
Okay, well, actually, we were talking about this earlier. Well, being on a podcast has always been a dream of mine. I've been listening to podcasts for years. I listen to them when I'm drawing, when I'm doing anything, really. So, check, done. We're good with that one. So,
awesome! I'm truly humbled that it kind of has that value for you. Like, my podcast,
Oh, I love podcasts. I feel like it's such a good way for people to learn things, to hear about other people's stories. And I mean, podcasts like yours, where you're actually inviting different people from the industry to give their own, to tell their own stories and give their own tips. I think that actually helps. That helps a lot to listeners out there. So yes, I appreciate you
my
doing
pleasure.
this.
No worries. Yeah, the thing is, I'm kind of on the same boat as you. Like, I've been listening to podcasts since I was like, I guess 16, 17. Like, one of the reasons I like it is because my brain is a kind of multitasker brain.
Yeah.
Like, if you give me 2 to 3 jobs at once, I'll do and manage them all at once and do them very well. But if you give me just one job, there's a chance I might keep getting distracted.
Right.
It's like there's a capacity threshold my brain has to get in terms of activity. Like, here's the thing. Like, do you know the game Factorio?
No, I don't think so.
It's I don't know how to explain. Like, just not just Factory in game. Here's my brain works. Like, I would play chess online with some guy. I would manage the window of my windows like this. I would play chess one tab and I play another game, and I'm also listening to a podcast. Like, my brain is like that, and it's like those. I'm a dopamine degenerate, basically. It's like that person that has to have Subway. No, not like that actually. The Subway Surfer while listening to a story. No, not like that. But even when it comes to work, if I have in a day, if I have just one podcast to record, I'm super lazy about it. But if I have 5 podcasts to record in one day, I'm super high energetic.
Right.
Happier,
Yeah.
And trust me, I've done 5 podcasts in one day, and it was so fun.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you like it that much. It's I personally find it tiring to talk a lot, so props to you for being able to.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an example, but in general, work and stuff in general, if it's just one thing I have to do during the, I'm going to be so lazy about it.
Yeah.
But if it's a huge load of things, I need to feel some sort of stress and pressure,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe that's a bad thing that's I've been kind of systematically used to, but
right.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone has their own way of working, so.
Yeah, for example, if they tell me you need to ramp and you have 3 months, you have to learn a Spanish A1 degree, right?
Yeah.
If you give me 3 months, I'm gonna fuck it up. But if you give me 1 week, I'm gonna get a really good grade.
Right.
Is there pressure? I think there's something more than pressure. I don't know, but I think that's certainly an element that's been kind of common in all of the scenarios I mentioned. But I don't know. I just perform better, I guess.
Right.
In a sense, because I see this as a challenge that I need to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not a challenge if it's something easy and also you have a lot of time and everything.
Anything could be a challenge, I think.
Yeah, if I make it it doesn't get exciting for me if it's not challenging. Right. Because there's no joy in reaching that.
Yeah.
You gotta work hard for. I know that sounds so cliche and those hustle Gary V clip type of things I'm saying, but actually I'm gonna say something, right?
Yeah.
In Mortal Kombat 11, every character that wins, they have their outcome. It shows the end credit of outcome of what happens with how their story goes when they beat the final boss.
Yeah.
And a spoiler alert, for one character, Kano. I don't know. Have you played Mortal Kombat before?
No, well, I've seen people play it, but never myself.
And Kano's ending was really interesting, and his ending really resonated with me. in a sense, like in the terms of philosophy. When whoever wins, kills the final boss, can reset the timeline in their own wish. And this guy is a kind of a degenerate asshole criminal. He made all his arch nemesis, be in their harem. He became the king Kano. He has all the weapons, and his market is on the top.
Yeah.
And he said it made him extremely depressed. So what he did, he reset the timeline and made it more challenging for him to reach that goal again. So all his enemies were back stronger, and he was fighting, and he was happy and smiling.
Right.
And it was like, you need to actually work for what you're. There's no joy if you just have it. And I thought about it. It's so true. Like not now, like sure, like let's say for example, if you tell anyone, all right, you're given $1 million, 100%, of course, there's a load of problems in everyone's life that's going to get fixed instantly by money. 100%, no doubt. We live in a capitalistic world. Like there's no denying that. But you look past that. All right, you fix all your friends and loved ones' problems. You fix your own problems. Dambo was the name. I'm sorry.
Yes, Dambo. Oh, nope. Oh, she said no.
So nope. All right. I'm sorry. Like imagine you all that, and you got your house you wanted. You went to a country you wanted. You're with your partner. Everything is fine.
Yeah.
What's after that? For most people, they can't answer that.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I can answer it completely as well right now, and I'm fully admitting to it. And I know this is a sign for me that I still, personality-wise, I have a lot of room to grow still.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like, it's so good to always meditate on these scenarios and imagine yourself in different shoes to kind of know your place in terms of your development,
right?
And what you should do. Like that's actually such a key factor, honestly.
I totally agree. I think this is also why, like, I keep on taking freelance projects on the side and everything, even though I do have a full-time job, is because, one is because my full-time job is in the video game industry, and I want to still keep a foot in the animation side of things. So that's why I keep on taking freelance jobs. And also, just like this constant like stimulation and challenge of like, oh, you think you're comfortable working right now? Oh, no. Like, here's more. Here's another different type of style for you to work on. Here's another story for you to convey. So, yeah, I agree with you. This, like, having, like, constantly having these things going on. Not just staying still, almost.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, as I said, like, I don't think I even told you this before the recording. Like the podcast, like started as like a curiosity,
Yeah.
I like podcasts. I want to do an art podcast, and I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've done like 20, 30 episodes. How far can I take it? Can I get to 100? Right. And that was a sudden shift in workload, and I grinded so hard till I get the 100 episodes, and I was like, 1,000. And I'm in the process of that actually right now.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, it's just going to be so, when looking back, it's going to be so satisfying. Sure, you may end up homeless one day in a Samsung refrigerator cartoon cardboard box, but
right.
At least you did all those things,
Yeah.
Like even with here's what I found in life. As long as I can quantify any goal I want to do in terms of numbers, I can just focus on my mind and that number, and that's it. Yeah. Like my fitness goal right now is to be able to do 1,000 push-ups continuously, and I'm still stuck at 55, 54, 60. That's the max I've ever gotten. But I don't think about fitness. I think about getting that number, and by the time I get that number, I'm pretty fit and strong at that point in that terms of like area.
Right.
So if you just focus on getting a number, or if you want to weight loss, don't think about weight loss. Don't think about even like looking at the scale.
Yeah.
I know that's still that's a cliche about looking at numbers, like mathematically looking at problems, but set yourself a goal to run or jog or walk all of them together like 1,000 kilometers. That's going to take a long time, but trust me, if you once you do the 1,000 kilometers, like you're going to be much different at the time you started, and you didn't even weigh yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
that's like a lot healthier way to look at it. Like if you want to become a great character artist, I don't know, set the challenge of thing like 100 heads and like torsos, like kind of like that, and have your sketchbook. And trust me, when you do challenge things, challenge and numerically like that, and you post your process on social media, that's a huge way of getting some social media clout and followers, because people love following journeys in a sense,
Yeah.
And these are honestly, like, I think some words that I'm saying is the thing that I wish younger me would have heard. So I hope these really help some people out there, And do you have anything to add to that?
To what you just said, no, that was a standing ovation worthy.
Oh, thanks so much.
But to the question, I think, so like the podcast was something I wanted to do. So it actually happened way sooner than I thought. So, which actually, speaking of numbers, for me, how I see things, how I see my number thing is there's a couple of things I want to do before I reach 30. So I still have like a few years. I still have a few years ago, and within these few years, podcast was one. I wanted to do the Spartan race, which I'm actually doing in 2 weeks. Oh, no, actually, no, in a week. I'm doing next Sunday. So, do you know about the Spartan race?
You have no idea how I love like marathon races, especially obstacle.
Okay,
Listen, since I was kid, I love those obstacle course things. Like, I'm a huge sucker for them. I'm actually so jealous right now. I hate you. I'm sorry, but I hate you. Like, I wish I was there. No. All right, I'm joking.
Visit Montreal for that. But yeah, no. So I'm doing the shortest one. It's a 5 kilometer Spartan race. It's up a mountain close by called Montreal. It's happening next Sunday. So we'll see how that goes. But I've been trying to train for it. I still run a lot. I try to run at least 3 times a week. Stay around the 3 to 4 kilometers every time. I also do boxing 4 times a week, or 3 times a week, 4 times a week, depending. We don't punch people. Not that I want to punch people either, but it's mostly just like learning the right techniques. And it's like on bags instead of like between each other, against each other. And then what else I do? Something I really want to pick up again is like all of my musical instruments, basically, because I learned the piano when I was much younger. Typical Asian, I know. But I learned the piano, and after the piano, I really wanted to learn something different. So I picked up the guitar, and with that, the electric guitar, the bass. I got myself a drum set too during the pandemic, and that's kind of almost rotting in my parents' basement right now, but we don't talk about it. I want to be able to like pick up at least like the bass or something again, just to play a bit. It's been a while. And as you can see, I have a few books, so I'm trying to read more too. When I was younger, I used to read so much YA novels, like so much of it, like Hunger Games, Divergent, all of that back then, went through all of them. And I'm trying to just pick up reading again, just try to do things that are a bit different from just sitting at the table and drawing or playing games. Yes.
That's awesome. And well, you know what else is not awesome? The fact that we've reached the final question and section of the podcast, which is called Time Capsule. And all right, let me explain. Imagine, all right, this is like the most common scenario I explain to everyone to kind of get the feeling and the vibe of the scenario. Imagine you're in the escape pod of a spaceship, all right?
Okay.
And you're trapped and you're about to get ejected in a couple of minutes. You don't have much time.
Yeah.
But during those time, you have the ability and access to a console on the spaceship that you can record your last moments and voice and just video recording on it. And listen, you're about to get ejected and you're never going to be seen or heard from again, right?
Right.
In that moment, from yourself, one human being to another human being, and that another human being is anyone who's going to listen to that in the future. Or in this case, in anyone who's going to listen to this point of the podcast at any point of time in the future. What do you have to say? Take your time. Don't worry if it's cliche. Just spit it out.
Oh, damn. Okay. Okay, I think I'll keep it really simple. I think remember your original intentions and your original goals, like why you've been doing, or you've been, like why you've been doing all these things so far. And I think that's basically all I would want to put into that time capsule. Just like yeah, just remember where you came from, remember what your goals are, and remember why you've been through all this and still doing all this for. Yeah.
All right, awesome. And again, I have to say something. Honestly, this episode is going on my top 10 favorite episodes I've ever recorded. I don't know in what
Aw.
order, but it definitely was. It was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. And thank you so much for coming by the way. I really appreciate your time. And for
Oh,
anyone who
thank
doesn't
you.
know, we were supposed to do it like last year around this time, but yeah, things happen.
Things happen.
And yeah. Well, thanks again for coming by, and thank you to anyone who tuned in and listened to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as well. As always, if there's any comments or suggestions or critiques or anything, you can just leave them in the comment section down below, or you can just send them to me. And with that being said, take care, stay safe, until next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.